Have you ever been lying in bed at night, unable to stop thinking about bad things? Thoughts about disasters, illnesses, failures, all of it spinning in your head over and over again. And then you imagined a car accident on the road. Just a fleeting thought, and the very next day, you saw an actual accident right on your route. And that's when the panic kicks in. Did my thoughts actually cause this? Our grandmothers always said, don't think about bad things, you'll bring trouble upon yourself. But can our thoughts really attract negative events? Millions of people around the world ask themselves this question every single day. Is it true that if you think about bad things, they happen more often? Today, we'll break this question down using science, psychology, and real experiments. We studied dozens of studies and scientific papers to give you an accurate answer. Myth or reality? Let's figure this out once and for all. We'll examine the arguments from both sides like real detectives. Buckle up, this is going to be a thrilling investigation. Let's start from the very beginning. Where did this idea even come from? It all started thousands of years ago when our ancestors lived in caves. A primitive human who thought about a predator attack was more cautious. Those who could anticipate danger survived more often. That's evolution in action. Ancient Greeks believed that thoughts were directly connected to the cosmic order. Philosophers taught that the human mind is part of the universal mind. Egyptian priests believed that thoughts could bring blessings or curses. In the Middle Ages, superstitions flourished. Black cats, broken mirrors, spilled salt. People knocked on wood to ward off evil spirits attracted by bad thoughts. Century after century, the belief in the power of thoughts was passed from generation to generation. In the 19th century, the New Thought movement emerged, a philosophy about the power of the mind. Books claiming that thoughts shape reality became bestsellers. People were told, think about wealth and it will come to you. In 2006, the book The Secret was released, popularizing the law of attraction. According to this law, thoughts literally attract events from the universe to you. TV shows and celebrities picked up this idea, and it spread across the entire world. Social media did its part. Posts about the power of thought gathered millions of likes. But there's a flip side to this. People started fearing their own thoughts. Mothers started telling their children, don't think about bad things or they'll happen. That's how this belief spread like a virus, from person to person, from culture to culture. The idea is simple and appealing. Your brain is a magnet that attracts events. Eastern teachings about karma also contributed. Thoughts determine destiny. In Hinduism and Buddhism, it's believed that thoughts create a karmic imprint. In many cultures, there's a belief that anything bad spoken or thought will come true. This belief unites people worldwide, from Africa to Asia, from Europe to America. Evil eye amulets, dream catchers, horseshoes, all of these are protection from bad thoughts. In Russia, people spit over their left shoulder to avoid jinxing themselves. Italians make the horn gesture to protect themselves from the evil eye. These traditions are passed down practically at a genetic level through families and communities. And today, in the 21st century, millions of office workers are afraid to think about failure. So now we understand where this myth came from. Now, let's get to the arguments. Let's start with the arguments for. Why do millions of people believe this works? First argument, negative thoughts actually change the chemistry of the brain. When you think about bad things, the brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone. Under the influence of stress, your hands shake, your attention scatters, and you make mistakes. This is called a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's a real psychological phenomenon. Imagine, a student is convinced they'll fail an exam. They think about it for days on end. Fear blocks his memory. He sits in front of the test paper and can't remember anything. The result? Failure. And the student thinks, I knew this would happen. And there's your cycle. Negative thought to stress to poor behavior to bad outcome. Second argument, the nocebo effect. This is a real medical phenomenon. In experiments, patients were given a placebo, plain sugar, but warned about side effects. And what do you think? Patients actually started experiencing nausea, headaches, and dizziness. The nocebo effect proves thoughts can affect the physical state of the body. Animal experiments showed chronic stress literally destroys health. Third argument, negative thoughts weaken the immune system. Studies show that chronic worry raises blood pressure and strains the heart. The longer you worry, the higher the risk of real diseases. That's a fact. Fourth argument, negative thinking creates tunnel vision. Your brain starts focusing only on threats, ignoring everything good around you. You know the effect. You buy a red car and suddenly you see red cars everywhere? That's the reticular activating system of the brain at work, your attention filter. Fifth argument, fear of failure actually worsens performance. performance. A person at a job interview who's convinced they'll be rejected will stutter, get nervous, and stumble. Sports psychologists confirm negative visualization decreases performance. A basketball player who imagines missing the shot actually misses more often. One negative mental impulse can trigger an entire chain of misfortunes. Psychologists call this catastrophizing, making a mountain out of a molehill. In relationships, this is especially noticeable. If you expect betrayal, you'll look for it, and ultimately, you'll destroy the relationship yourself through your suspicion and anxiety. In business, it's the same thing. An entrepreneur convinced of failure makes the worst decisions. Fear paralyzes. It prevents you from acting rationally and seeing opportunities. Sixth argument. Scientific studies confirm the connection between pessimism and failure. A driver thinking about a crash grips the wheel so hard they lose control of the steering. A surgeon thinking about making a mistake may develop trembling hands at a critical moment. Depression is an extreme form of negative thinking that truly destroys lives. Neuroscience confirms, during chronic stress, the amygdala in the brain actually enlarges. The body is constantly in fight or flight mode, even when there's no real threat. Insomnia caused by anxious thoughts is yet another path to real problems. A sleep-deprived person makes 3 times more mistakes at work. Many scientists agree, negative thinking is a powerful factor influencing behavior. An athlete with self-doubt physically cannot perform at their maximum level. A singer afraid of forgetting lyrics is more likely to forget them due to stress. In total, the arguments for show that thoughts really do affect our body and behavior. That's an impressive set of evidence, but don't jump to conclusions, because now we're going to look at the other side of the coin, and it will surprise you. And now the arguments against. What does science say about a direct link between thoughts and events? The first and main counter-argument. Thoughts cannot influence the external world directly. Not a single experiment in history has proven that thought can move objects or change the weather. Thoughts are electrical impulses inside your skull. They don't extend beyond its boundaries. You can think about an earthquake all day long, but it won't affect tectonic plates in any way. If thoughts attracted events, the world would have long descended into chaos from billions of fears. Second argument against. Confirmation bias. It's a trap set by your own brain. You remember the one time you thought about something bad and it happened, but you forget the hundreds of times when nothing occurred. The brain records coincidences in capital letters, but non-coincidences in fine print. If positive thinking worked like a magnet, every lottery ticket would be a winner. Physicists have measured the brain's electromagnetic field is so weak it can't even move a single atom. Quantum physics is often used to justify the power of thought, but scientists say that's a gross distortion. You can think about rain for hours, but if the atmospheric conditions aren't right, there won't be any rain. Hospital studies showed a patient's mindset affects their motivation, but not the diagnosis itself. Random events remain random. Dice don't know what you're thinking about. Millions of passengers fear plane crashes every single day, but planes fly just fine. Statistics are ruthless. Plane crashes don't correlate with passenger anxiety levels. The probability of being struck by lightning is 1 in a million, regardless of your thoughts. Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman explained, "Our brain is a machine for creating false connections. We have fast thinking that searches for patterns even where none exist." Third argument. We confuse coincidence with cause and effect. Ice cream sales and drowning rates increase simultaneously. But ice cream doesn't cause drownings. A person avoids a black cat and a piano nearly falls on them from above. The irony! In blindfolded experiments, people's predictions turned out to be purely random. Groups of skeptical scientists studied the law of attraction. Verdict? No evidence whatsoever. Not a single peer-reviewed study has confirmed that thoughts attract external events. A child fears the monster under the bed, but when the light turns on, there's no monster. An owner worries that their dog is sick, but the vet says the dog is absolutely healthy. You thought bad things about a friend, but they're having a wonderful day? Means the thoughts didn't work. If you count all your fears throughout your life, you'll find that the vast majority never came true. Studies show about 97% of our worries never actually come true. Many people have experienced disasters they never once thought about in their lives. And carefree optimists also get into trouble, because life is unpredictable. Even professional athletes who visualized victory sometimes lose. Fourth argument, it's simply an illusion of control. Our brain wants to believe it controls the world. Apophenia. That's what scientists call the tendency to find meaning in random events. We connect unrelated dots and see patterns where none exist. Billions of negative thoughts arise every second around the world, and nothing extraordinary happens. Disasters happen to people who never even suspected them. Their thoughts had nothing to do with it. A thought is simply an electrical signal between neurons, not a magical beam. Neurobiology shows thinking is a purely biological process with no mysticism involved. Scientific evidence against direct thought influence on reality far outweighs the evidence for it. The myth about the magical power of thought pops like a soap bubble when it meets science. In ancient times, people blamed their thoughts for volcanic eruptions. Today, we know the truth. Earthquakes are caused by tectonic plate movement, not by anyone's worries. Science replaced magical thinking with scientific understanding, and that's progress. Fifth argument, belief in the power of thoughts can cause real harm, guilt. Psychotherapists say, many patients blame themselves for illnesses and failures because of bad thoughts. Realizing that your thoughts don't control the external world, that's true liberation. So we've examined both sides. It's time to deliver the final verdict. Attention, the moment of truth. Do thoughts attract bad events, myth or reality? Drumroll. The answer is both myth and reality at the same time. Yes, you heard that right. Let us explain. Truth and falsehood are tightly intertwined here. The myth is that thoughts can directly influence the external world. They can't. The reality is that negative thoughts affect your body, hormones, and behavior. And altered behavior already leads to real consequences in your life. Thoughts don't control the universe, but they control you, and you control your life. There's no mystical connection between your brain and events in the world, but there's an absolutely real connection between thoughts, stress, and your actions. So, don't be afraid of your thoughts, but learn to manage them constructively. How do you do that? There are several proven methods. Mindfulness practice helps you observe thoughts without reacting to them emotionally. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches you to replace catastrophic thoughts with neutral ones. Simply keeping a worry journal shows most fears never come true. Balance, that's the key. Think, but act based on facts, not fears. In summary, thoughts don't attract events, but they influence your reactions and decisions. And that is a scientific fact. But wait, we have something else, a bonus fact that will turn everything upside down. Plot twist, are you ready? It turns out negative thinking can actually be useful. It's called defensive pessimism. Scientists from Wellesley College discovered people who expect the worst prepare better. A student convinced they'll fail studies the material 3 times harder, and in the end, gets an A. NASA engineers deliberately imagine every possible disaster in order to prevent them. Precisely because they thought about bad things, the rocket launched successfully. So it turns out negative thinking is not an enemy, but a tool, if you use it correctly. Your brain has an entire toolkit. Both optimism and pessimism are useful at the right time. Unexpected, right? Thinking about bad things is a superpower, if you know how to use it. If you enjoyed this investigation, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. In the next episode, an even more shocking topic awaits us. You won't believe it. Myth or reality? See you in the next video. Bye.